convergence of natural catastrophic events unlike anything we've ever witnessed before.
Regarding those specifics, for example, the Bible says there'll be signs in the heavens. In fact, in the context, the Bible says there'll be signs in the heavens and there will be times upon the earth, the oceans or the seas will be raging. The Bible says that men's hearts will begin to fail them for fear when they see these ominous things coming upon the earth. The context is profound. It is a quick succession of global events that are going to be cataclysmic.
One thing that is talked about quite often and misinterpreted quite often is the natural disasters that will happen in the end times.
Arguably, one of the most commonly discussed natural sign in the end days is the dramatic increase of earthquakes around the world, something that in geological time would be statistically unprecedented if it were actually happening during what many believe is the last generation.
That in the last days there'd be an increase in great earthquakes. Jesus used verbiage that means bigger earthquakes in unusual places. We're looking at things regarding, for example, greater hurricanes, greater typhoons, things that in nature you can sense that things are coming undone. And yet, if you looked at it naturally, you would say, well, this is due to global warming, or this is due to man's bad stewardship of the earth. But yet the Bible said as we approached the end, this is exactly what we would see, which, by the way, that preempts man's involvement.
The scriptures do tell us that earthquakes, specifically earthquakes, will increase in frequency and in intensity. Now, it describes the pattern of earthquakes as labor pains.
But the idea here is when they're describing these various birth pains, a lot of it has to do with natural disaster type events like earthquakes and wars and famine. And we've always had these things, so people ask, well, how is now any different than before? What you do have is, as with birth pains, is you have an increase in the frequency and in the severity. At the same time as these are increasing in intensity and frequency, you have the convergence of other events. And so you see we have all these things coming together at the same time.
But wait a minute. Hasn't the U.S. Geological Survey, or USGS, gone on record to state that this is not occurring, that no such increase in earthquakes have been detected around the world?
Because this is such a debated topic, the USGS gave a press release saying that this was not occurring. As a result, we actually decided to take the USGS data, millions of data points, spent months downloading it, analyzing it, graphing it, studying it. The results were absolutely terrifying.
Despite what you may have heard in the past, this is the compiled data from the USGS from over the last 100 years. Keep in mind that we're not talking about the millions of microtremors that can now be detected from the distribution of more numerous and sensitive sensors, but strictly data from the larger earthquakes that can be felt by people beginning at 6.3 and up on the Richter scale that could be easily detected by early 19th century sensors from virtually anywhere in the world. This data shows what the USGS and other organizations do not want you to see.
It shows that the earthquakes are increasing in intensity and they are increasing in frequency. This is exactly the description that was prophesied. I don't believe the USGS was intentionally lying to the public. I think they are in denial of their own data.
In fact, in recent years, some seismologists have even come forward to admit that in truth, there is indeed an increase in large earthquakes globally, and even revealed cases where big earthquakes are believed to have triggered additional quakes. However, many felt there was not enough of a concern to present this data through official public releases.